The red emergency lights flashed across the massive dome of the Galactic Council chamber. Something terrible was happening, and word was spreading fast through 3 different star systems. Fear was in the air, thick enough to cut with a knife. Admiral Krotek stood at the center podium, his blue-scaled hand shaking as he gripped the microphone. The old Valiant had seen combat across dozens of worlds, but today his voice cracked with pure terror. Council members, what I'm about to tell you will change everything we thought we knew about humans. He began, pausing to steady himself. 2 weeks ago, we welcomed them as potential allies. Today, I stand before you to warn that humanity may be the most dangerous species we've ever encountered. The chamber fell silent. Representatives from 47 different worlds leaned forward. Their various forms of eyes, stalks, and sensory organs focused on the Admiral. The creatures they bring with them, Krotek continued, are unlike anything in our databases. They move like shadows, completely silent when they choose to be. I watched one track ascent trail across an entire space station, another crushed. A metal pipe with its jaws like it was soft fruit. Captain Mike Thompson had arrived at the Zephyrian mining colony aboard the UES Discovery just 14 days earlier. The first meeting had gone perfectly. The humans seemed friendly, curious, and eager to trade. They shared stories, exchanged cultural data, and even invited several Zephyrian officials aboard their ship for a tour. That's when everything went wrong. The moment they brought those ... things aboard our station, chaos erupted, reported Commander Zilks, the Zephyrian station chief. His tentacles writhed with remembered fear. Our civilians took one look and fled screaming. Children hid behind. Their parents, even our security forces, backed away. The humans had called them assistance animals and seemed genuinely confused by the panic. Captain Thompson had tried to calm everyone down, explaining that the creatures were harmless companions. But the aliens saw something completely different. Dr. Zanara, the Council's top expert on dangerous species, stepped forward with her analysis. Her forearms moved gracefully as she activated the holographic display, showing footage from the Zephyrian station. Observe their movement patterns, she said, highlighting one of the creatures as it walked beside a human crew member. Perfect coordination. Silent steps. Constant awareness of surroundings. These are the behaviors of trained assassins. The footage showed a large 4-legged creature with pointed ears and a long snout filled with sharp teeth. Its eyes seemed to glow as they caught the station's artificial lighting. When it turned its head, every alien in the recording stepped back. Look at this, Dr. Zanara continued, switching to another clip. The human gives a simple hand gesture, and the creature immediately responds. It sits, stands, even approaches specific targets on command. This level of obedience can only come from intensive military conditioning. Admiral Krotek nodded grimly. During my inspection of their ship, I counted 12 of these beasts. Whoa. Living weapons, each one capable of tracking, hunting, and killing on human command. And the humans act like they're normal. They pet them. They feed them by hand. Some even sleep in the same rooms. The revelation sent shocked murmurs through the assembly. The idea that humans could sleep peacefully next to such dangerous predators suggested either incredible bravery or terrifying confidence in their control methods. The most disturbing part, Dr. Zanara added, is their apparent intelligence. These aren't mindless attack animals. They study their environment, recognize individual aliens, and seem to communicate with each other through subtle signals. Humans have somehow created a small army of intelligent biological weapons. Representative Kex from the Andromedan Federation raised a concerned appendage. Have we determined their origin species? Understanding their base nature might help us assess the threat level. Dr. Zanara's expression darkened. Genetic analysis suggests they descended from apex predators that once hunted in coordinated packs. Creatures that brought down prey many times their own size through teamwork and persistence. Humanity somehow captured these predators and transformed them into loyal servants. The chamber erupted in worried chatter. The implications were staggering. If humans could domesticate such dangerous creatures, what did that say about human nature itself? There's more, Admiral Krotek announced, raising his hand for silence. Our sensors detected additional creatures aboard other human vessels. Different sizes, different breeds, but all showing the same disturbing loyalty to their human controllers. This isn't an isolated incident. It appears to be standard practice for their species. The footage switched again, showing humans interacting casually with their creatures. The aliens watched in horror as humans allowed the beasts to lick their faces, touch their children, and roam freely through living spaces. Either humans are completely insane, concluded Dr. Zanara, or they possess control methods so advanced that they can turn wild predators into perfect servants. Both possibilities make them extremely dangerous. The debate that followed was intense but brief. The evidence was overwhelming. Humans traveled with creatures that could track across vast distances, coordinate complex attacks, and follow intricate commands. The fact that they treated these weapons as companions only made them more frightening. When the vote was called, the result was unanimous. 47 different species, representing hundreds of worlds and billions of sentient beings, agreed on one terrifying conclusion. Humanity was officially classified as a potential biological warfare threat. The galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. Ambassador Lisa Rodriguez stepped off the transport shuttle expecting the usual diplomatic welcome. Instead, she found herself surrounded by heavily armed alien security forces, their weapons drawn and pointed at her small diplomatic team. Reception hall that should have been filled with welcoming committee members was eerily empty, except for nervous-looking guards positioned behind protective barriers. "What's going on here?" Lisa asked, genuinely confused. She had been looking forward to this historic meeting between humanity and the Galactic Council. The preliminary communications had been friendly, even excited. Now it felt like she was walking into a war zone. Security Chief Hax, a tall reptilian creature with silver scales, approached cautiously. His movements were stiff and mechanical, like someone expecting an attack at any moment. Ambassador Rodriguez, "We need to discuss the weapons your species brings to diplomatic meetings." Lisa blinked in confusion. "Weapons? We're here for peace talks. My team doesn't carry any weapons." She gestured to her small group of scientists and diplomats, none of whom looked particularly threatening in their standard-issue jumpsuits. "Chief." Hax led her to a secure viewing room where massive screens covered the walls. "Please observe these recordings from your first contact missions," he said, his clawed finger hovering over the control panel. "Perhaps you can explain what we're seeing." The first video began playing, showing footage from Captain Thompson's ship. Lisa watched as crew members moved through the corridors, going about their daily routines. She saw the mess hall, the recreation areas, the sleeping quarters. Everything looked perfectly normal to her. Then she saw Duke. Her German Shepherd was playing fetch with Lieutenant Bradley in the ship's main corridor. The dog's tail wagged furiously as he chased after a rubber ball, his paws clicking on the metal floor. When Bradley called his name, Duke immediately dropped the ball and ran back, sitting obediently and looking up with bright, eager eyes. "You mean our dogs?" Lisa asked, staring at the screen in disbelief. "You're afraid of our dogs?" But as she watched the alien reactions in the footage, she began to understand their perspective. Every time Duke moved, the alien visitors flinched. When he barked playfully at the ball, they jumped backward. When he demonstrated his training by sitting, staying, and coming on command, they looked terrified. Chief Hax switched to another recording. This one showed Duke walking beside Lisa's 12-year-old daughter, Amy, during a tour of the ship. The dog stayed close to the girl, occasionally looking up at her face, or gently nudging her hand with his nose. "Watch carefully," Chief Hax said, his voice tight with concern. "The creature maintains perfect formation with the young human. Scans the environment continuously. When other beings approach, it positions itself between them and its assigned target." Lisa realized with growing horror that the aliens were interpreting Duke's natural protective instincts as military behavior. His love for Amy looked like guard duty to species that had never seen such a bond between different animals. The next clip made her heart sink even further. Duke was lying on his back in Amy's room, tongue hanging out happily as she rubbed his belly. His legs kicked playfully in the air, and his tail thumped against the floor. "Here we see clear dominance displays," Chief Hax explained. "The predator exposes its vulnerable areas to demonstrate complete submission to human authority. This level of behavioral control indicates extensive conditioning programs." Dr. Rachel Kim, the mission's biology expert, stepped forward to help explain. She had spent years studying animal behavior and was excited to share humanity's unique relationship with domesticated species. "Chief Hax, I think there's been a misunderstanding. What you're seeing isn't military training, it's companionship." Alien Security Chief's scales shifted color, a sign of agitation. "Companionship. These are apex predators. Our analysis shows they descended from pack hunters capable of bringing down prey 3 times their size. You cannot have companionship with such creatures." Dr. Kim activated her portable holographic projector, showing images of wolf evolution and the gradual development of different dog breeds over thousands of years. She explained selective breeding, the development of traits like loyalty and gentleness, the way humans had guided canine evolution toward partnership rather than predation. "For over 15,000 years, humans and dogs have lived together," she said enthusiastically. "We helped them. They helped us. We shared food, shelter, protection. Over time, they became part of our families." But the aliens saw something entirely different in her presentation. Commander Vex of Rigel Prime stood up, his multiple eye stalks focused intently on the genetic charts. "You're describing systematic modification of a dangerous species over hundreds of generations. You took wild predators and engineered them into perfect biological weapons." The footage continued playing, showing more scenes of human-dog interaction. Dogs fetching sticks, performing tricks, sleeping curled up next. 2 human crew members. Each innocent moment looked sinister through alien eyes. When the recording showed Duke alerting the crew to an unusual sound in the ship's hull, the aliens saw threat detection systems. When he helped locate a lost tool by scent, they witnessed tracking capabilities. When he comforted a homesick crew member by resting his head on their lap, they observed psychological manipulation tactics. "Your pack hunters follow complex commands instantly," stated Commander Vex, his voice filled with barely controlled fear. "They coordinate with each other without visible signals. They show absolute loyalty, even unto death." Warfare at its most sophisticated level. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine as she realized the scope of the misunderstanding. These aliens had never experienced domestication. Their species had never formed bonds with other animals. The concept of taming a predator through love and mutual benefit was completely foreign to them. "They're not weapons," she said desperately. "They're family members. Duke sleeps in Amy's room because he loves her. He protects her because that's what family does. He obeys commands because we've taught him it makes life better for everyone." But even as she spoke, Lisa could see the fear and suspicion in the alien faces around her. To them, humanity's ability to inspire such devotion in dangerous creatures was more terrifying than any weapon they could imagine. The misunderstanding ran deeper than simple translation errors or cultural differences. It struck at the very heart of what made humans unique in the galaxy. And that uniqueness was being interpreted as a threat that could destroy everything they'd worked to build. The massive research facility on Kepler Station hummed with activity as scientists from dozens of worlds worked around the clock. Dr. Korth, the galaxy's leading expert on dangerous species, had never seen anything quite like this. His team had been analyzing human footage for 3 weeks straight, and the more they discovered, the more terrified they became. "The numbers are staggering," Dr. Korth announced to his assembled research team, his tentacles writhing with nervous energy. "These creatures possess bite force measurements that can crush bone. Their tracking abilities span distances that would take our best sensors to match, and their coordination." He paused, shaking his head. "It's like watching a perfectly programmed military unit." The main laboratory screen displayed a rotating holographic model of a German shepherd's skull. Red indicators marked the jaw muscles and tooth structure, while data streams showed calculations that made the entire room fall silent. 235 pounds per square inch of bite force, Dr. Korth continued, highlighting the jaw mechanics. For comparison, that's enough to snap the arm bones of most species in this room. Yet humans allow these creatures to put their mouths on human children during play. His assistant, Dr. Vexa, from the Centauri system, pulled up additional data. Sir, we've also confirmed their sensory capabilities. They can track scent trails. Across 20 miles of varied terrain, their hearing detects frequencies we can't even measure. And their night vision. She shuddered. They're perfectly designed hunters. The research had begun with footage from Captain James Foster's exploration vessel. Foster's Belgian Malinois Rex had become an unwitting star of the most detailed behavioral analysis in galactic history. Every moment of Rex's daily routine had been studied, catalogued, and interpreted through the lens of military threat assessment. Dr. Korth switched the display to show Rex moving through an obstacle course that Captain Foster had set up in the ship's cargo bay. The dog leaped over barriers, crawled under obstacles, and navigated narrow passages with fluid precision. Observe the tactical movement patterns, Dr. Korth explained to his increasingly worried audience. Perfect balance, rapid directional, changes obstacle negotiation without hesitation. This is advanced combat training disguised as recreation. But what the aliens were actually watching was Rex having fun. Captain Foster had created the course to help his dog get exercise during the long space voyage. Rex's tail wagged throughout the entire routine, his tongue hung out happily, and he kept looking back at Foster for approval and encouragement. The alien scientists saw something entirely different. They documented Rex's breach and entry techniques. When he jumped through hoops, they recorded his stealth approach methods when he crawled under low barriers. When Rex successfully completed the course, and Foster rewarded him with a treat and belly rubs, they interpreted it as mission completion protocols and performance reinforcement. Dr. Vexa highlighted another disturbing discovery.
Creatures
Demonstrate perfect alert responses to environmental changes. Watch this. The screen showed Rex suddenly lifting his head during a quiet moment, his ears perked and nose twitching. Moments later, a crew member entered the room, someone who had been approaching from several corridors away. Threat detection and early warning systems, Dr. Korth noted grimly. The creature identified an approaching individual long before our sensors would have registered the movement. This level of situational awareness suggests extensive conditioning for security operations. The reality was much simpler. Rex had smelled the familiar scent of Lieutenant Torres, who always carried the faint aroma of the engine room where she worked. Rex liked Lieutenant Torres because she occasionally shared her lunch with him, and his alert posture was simply hopeful anticipation of possible food. The analysis continued with footage of Rex retrieving various objects on command. Foster would point to tools, clothing items, or recreational equipment, and Rex would dutifully fetch them. To human eyes, it was a useful trick that made life easier aboard the ship. To the alien researchers, it looked like weapons handling exercises. The creature demonstrates perfect target identification and acquisition skills, Dr. Vexa reported. It can distinguish between dozens of different objects and retrieve specific items on command. This suggests advanced tactical training for battlefield equipment management. When Rex brought Foster his boots each morning, the aliens saw equipment preparation drills. When he fetched a thrown ball, they witnessed projectile recovery operations. When he gently carried fragile items without damaging them, they documented his precision handling capabilities for sensitive materials. The research team's most disturbing discovery came when they learned about the living arrangements aboard human vessels. Unlike the carefully controlled military facilities they had expected, these battle beasts lived in the same spaces as human families. They sleep in human quarters, Dr. Korth announced, his voice filled with disbelief. They eat from the same food preparation areas. They have unrestricted access to human children, elderly individuals, and other vulnerable populations. Footage showed Rex curled up on a blanket next to Foster's bunk, his chest rising and falling in peaceful sleep. Another clip revealed him gently interacting with visiting families during a recent shore leave. allowing small children to pet him while their parents watched with casual unconcern. This presents a contradiction that defies logical explanation, Dr. Vexa added. If these are biological weapons, why would humans expose their most defenseless population to them? Either humans have achieved impossible levels of control, or... She didn't finish the sentence, but everyone in the room understood the implication. The alternative was that humans possessed some form of supernatural influence over dangerous predators. A possibility that was even more frightening than advanced military technology. Dr. Korth pulled up the final piece of evidence that had convinced him of humanity's threat level. The footage showed Rex responding instantly to hand signals from Foster. A raised palm made him stop mid-stride. A pointed finger directed his movement. A simple gesture brought him immediately to Foster's side. Perfect battlefield communication. Without verbal commands, Dr. Korth concluded, these creatures have been conditioned to respond to subtle human signals with military precision. The level of behavioral modification required for such results suggests technologies far beyond our current understanding. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had somehow transformed apex predators into loyal servants who lived peacefully among human families while maintaining the ability to function as perfect soldiers. The contradiction was impossible to reconcile with anything in their experience. As Dr. Korth prepared his final report for the Galactic Council, one question haunted him above all others. How could any species achieve such complete control over dangerous creatures without breaking their spirits or destroying their natural abilities? The answer, he feared, revealed something about human nature that the galaxy wasn't prepared to understand. The morning started like any other on New Boston Colony. Families were having breakfast, kids were getting ready for school, and the mining crews were preparing for another day extracting rare minerals from the asteroid belt. Nobody saw the pirate ships coming until it was too late. Captain Rodriguez was reviewing supply reports in his office when the first explosions shook the colony's main habitat dome. Emergency sirens wailed as the lights flickered and went out. Through his window, he could see dark shapes moving against the stars, unmarked vessels dropping assault pods onto the colony's outer platforms. All civilians to emergency shelters, his voice echoed through the colony's communication system. Defense teams to positions. This is not a drill. 3 sectors away, hidden observation drones belonging to the Galactic Council recorded everything. Admiral Krotek and his intelligence team had been secretly monitoring human colonies for months, hoping to learn more about the mysterious battle beasts that accompanied human settlements. They were about to witness something that would change their understanding forever. The first footage that caught their attention showed a golden retriever named Annie working with the emergency response teams. As buildings collapsed under pirate weapons fire, Annie moved through the rubble with incredible focus. Her nose worked constantly, testing the air for scents that her human partners couldn't detect. "There's someone here," called out rescue team. Leader Martinez, following Annie as she pawed frantically at a pile of concrete and twisted metal. The team began digging, and within minutes they pulled out Mrs. Chen and her twin babies, all alive and crying. 2. Admiral Krotek, watching from his command ship. This looked like military-grade reconnaissance work. The creature is systematically locating hidden targets, he reported to his intelligence officers. Notice how it coordinates with the human units, directing them to specific locations with perfect accuracy. But Annie wasn't following military protocols. She was doing what golden retrievers had been bred to do for generations: help people. Her tail wagged even as debris fell around her, and she kept looking back at her handler with bright, eager eyes that seemed to say, "Did I do good?" The real confusion began when the drones focused on the civilian shelters. The Martinez family had made it to Shelter C with their German shepherd, Bruno. The underground bunker was packed with families, elderly colonists, and crying children. The air was thick with fear, and the distant sound of weapons fire above. Bruno moved through the crowded space like he owned it, but not in the way the aliens expected. Instead of maintaining military formation or establishing defensive positions, he went straight to the most frightened people. An elderly man having trouble breathing found Bruno's calm presence settling his nerves. A group of scared children, giggled when Bruno let them pet his soft fur. The tactical behavior makes no sense, Admiral Krotek muttered, studying the footage. The creature is prioritizing comfort over security. It's focusing on the weakest individuals instead of establishing perimeter defense. The moment that truly baffled the alien observers came when 8-year-old Tommy Wilson started crying. The boy was terrified by the explosions shaking the shelter, and his sobs echoed off the concrete walls. His parents tried to comfort him, but he was too scared to listen. That's when Bella, the family's border collie, quietly approached. Instead of maintaining alert readiness like a proper military unit, Bella simply laid her head across Tommy's lap. Her warm brown eyes looked up at him with infinite patience while her presence gradually calmed his fears. Within minutes, the exhausted boy had fallen asleep against her side. "This defies all tactical logic," Dr. Vexa reported from her analysis station. The creature abandoned its defensive posture to provide psychological support to a non-essential target. No military unit would prioritize emotional comfort over mission readiness. But the most confusing incident was yet to come. The pirates had been systematically breaching the colony's shelters, looking for valuable hostages and supplies. When they blasted through the reinforced door of Shelter C, chaos erupted. Bruno instantly transformed. His hackles rose, his lips pulled back to reveal sharp teeth, and a low growl rumbled from his chest. He positioned himself directly between the armed intruders and the Wilson family, his body language radiating controlled aggression. The pirates hesitated, even hardened. Criminals recognized a dangerous predator when they saw one. Bruno looked every inch the battle beast that alien intelligence reports had described, focused, deadly, and absolutely committed to protecting his territory. "Now we see the true nature of these creatures," Admiral Krotek said grimly. Perfect. Combat readiness, strategic positioning, psychological warfare through intimidation displays. But then something happened that shattered every assumption the aliens had made about human battle tactics. Young Tommy Wilson, still groggy from sleep, looked up and saw Bruno in his aggressive stance. The boy didn't see a weapon or a military unit. He saw his family dog, looking upset and scary, and he didn't like it. "Bruno, come here," Tommy called out in his small, sleepy voice. The effect was immediate and absolute. Bruno's aggressive posture vanished instantly. His hackles smoothed down, his tail started wagging, and he abandoned his defensive position. To trot over to the boy, sat beside Tommy, and nuzzled his hand, looking for all the world like a gentle family pet rather than a fearsome guardian. The pirates, confused by this display, hesitated long enough for colony security forces to arrive and drive them off. But the damage to alien understanding was complete. Admiral Krotek stared at his screens in total bewilderment. The creature obeyed a child's command over tactical necessity, he reported to his superiors. It abandoned a perfect defensive position because a young human requested its presence. This level of loyalty transcends any military conditioning we've ever documented. His communication officer approached with an urgent message. "Admiral, we're receiving a priority transmission from Ambassador Rodriguez aboard the diplomatic station. The Council is demanding immediate answers." The message was brief, but desperate. "Your weapons show loyalty beyond our comprehension. They obey children. They comfort the wounded. They prioritize emotional support over tactical advantage. We need answers immediately." What kind of control do humans possess that creates such impossible contradictions in trained killers? Admiral Krotek looked back at his screens, where Bruno was now peacefully sleeping beside Tommy Wilson, while the boy's parents quietly discussed evacuation plans. The battle beast looked completely relaxed, occasionally twitching in his sleep like he was chasing something fun in his dreams, for the first time in his long military career. Admiral Krotek had encountered something that completely defied logical explanation. These weren't weapons at all. They were something else entirely. Something that made humanity far more mysterious and potentially dangerous than anyone in the galaxy had imagined. The massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber opened with a soft hiss, and Ambassador Rodriguez stepped inside carrying what looked like a diplomatic briefcase. But the representatives from 47 different worlds weren't focused on her official documents. Their attention was completely captured by the elderly creature walking slowly beside her. Buddy moved with the careful steps of an old dog who had seen many years of life. His golden fur was streaked with white around his graying muzzle, and his brown eyes held the gentle wisdom that comes with age. His tail wagged in a slow, friendly rhythm as he took in the massive chamber filled with beings he had never seen. Before, council members, Lisa began, her voice carrying across the silent chamber. I'd like you to meet the most important member of my diplomatic team. This is Buddy. He's been my family's companion for over 12 years. The alien representatives leaned forward in their seats, studying every movement the dog made. After weeks of terrifying reports about human battle beasts, they expected to see a weapon disguised as a pet. Instead, they watched an old dog who seemed more interested in finding a comfortable place to lie down than in establishing tactical positions. Buddy surveyed the chamber with mild curiosity, his head tilting slightly. As he took in the strange sights and smells, the colorful array of alien beings didn't seem to frighten him at all. If anything, he appeared vaguely interested, the way any elderly family dog might look at unexpected visitors. Finding a spot that met his approval near Lisa's feet, Buddy circled twice and settled down with a contented sigh that seemed to come from deep in his chest. His movements were unhurried and peaceful, completely lacking the alertness that military animals displayed. He looked like exactly what he was, an old dog taking a well-deserved rest. The chamber remained absolutely silent as the representatives tried to reconcile this gentle creature with the terrifying reports they had received. This was supposed to be a dangerous predator, a biological weapon capable of tracking enemies and responding to complex battlefield commands. Then something happened that changed everything. Dr. Korth, the lead researcher who had spent weeks analyzing human battle beasts, was reviewing his notes when his stylus slipped from his tentacle and clattered to the floor. The sound echoed through the quiet chamber as the writing instrument rolled across the smooth surface, coming to rest several feet away from his position. Without any command or signal from Lisa, Buddy raised his head. His ears perked up as he noticed the dropped item, and he slowly got to his feet. The entire chamber watched in fascination as the old dog ambled over to where the stylus had fallen. Buddy picked up the stylus with remarkable gentleness, his teeth barely touching the surface as he secured it in his mouth. He then walked calmly over to Dr. Korth, who was staring down at him with a mixture of amazement and confusion. The dog sat politely and held out the stylus, waiting patiently until the scientist took it from his mouth. "Thank you, Dr. Korth," said automatically, his voice filled with wonder. It was perhaps the first time in galactic history that a leading xenobiologist had thanked what he had previously classified as a biological weapon. Buddy's tail wagged. Once an acknowledgement before he returned to his spot beside Lisa and settled back down. The entire exchange had taken less than a minute, but its impact on the assembled council was profound. The silence stretched until Dr. Kim stepped forward with her holographic projector. "Council members, what you just witnessed demonstrates the true nature of the relationship between humans and dogs." Buddy wasn't following military protocols. He was simply being helpful, the way his ancestors learned to be helpful to humans. Over thousands of years, a holographic display filled the center of the chamber with images showing the gradual transformation from wolf to dog. Dr. Kim walked the council through 15,000 years of shared evolution, explaining how early humans and wolves found mutual benefit in cooperation rather than conflict. The wolves that were least aggressive, most cooperative, and most willing to work with humans were the ones that survived and had puppies, she explained. Generation after generation, we selected for gentleness, loyalty, and the desire to help. We didn't create weapons. We created companions. Admiral Krotek's voice cut through the chamber, filled with the confusion of someone whose worldview was being completely rewritten. But the tactical capabilities, the coordinated behaviors, the absolute obedience to commands, ... Double quotes. Dr. Kim smiled gently. "Admiral, when you live with someone for thousands of years, when you share food and shelter and protection, you learn to work together perfectly. Dogs follow human commands not because they're programmed to, but because they want to make us happy. The demonstration continued as the chamber doors opened again. A young girl of about 13 entered, looking around nervously at all the alien faces staring at her. This was Anna Rodriguez, Lisa's daughter, and she had come to retrieve the tablet she had forgotten that morning. The moment Buddy saw Anna, his entire demeanor transformed. His tail began wagging furiously, his eyes lit up with pure joy, and he struggled to his feet despite his arthritis. The old dog, who had been calm and dignified moments before, suddenly became a wiggling, excited puppy at heart. "Hi, Buddy," Anna said softly, kneeling down to scratch behind his ears. "Sorry, I forgot my tablet." Buddy pressed against her legs, soaking up the attention with obvious delight. When Anna moved toward her mother's briefcase to retrieve her device, Buddy followed her with devoted steps, his eyes never leaving her face. The love between them was so obvious, so pure, that it needed no translation across species. "This is what we've been missing," Lisa said quietly, watching her daughter and dog together. "You've been looking for military programming, but what you're seeing is family." Buddy doesn't protect Anna because he's been trained to. He protects her because he loves her more than his own life. Commander Vex of Rigel Prime spoke up, his multiple eye stalks focused intently on the girl and dog. "You took apex predators and turned them into guardians for your young?" Lisa shook her head. "Gently, not guardians, Commander. Family. Buddy isn't Anna's protector. He's her best friend. The protection comes naturally from that friendship." As Anna left with her tablet, giving Buddy one final pat that sent his tail into happy overdrive, the council members began to understand something that would reshape their view of humanity forever. These beings hadn't conquered dangerous animals through superior technology or advanced conditioning techniques. They had done something far more remarkable and infinitely more powerful. They had transformed enemies into family members through nothing more complicated than patience, kindness, and love. Dr. Korth was the first to speak the truth that everyone was realizing. Your species doesn't control these creatures at all. They choose to help you because you've made them part of your lives. The revelation that followed shattered every assumption the galaxy had made about human nature. A species capable of inspiring such devotion, of turning predators into willing companions through love alone, represented something unprecedented. In galactic civilization, as the formal accords were signed and new diplomatic relationships established, Buddy slept peacefully at Lisa's feet. His gentle breathing was the only sound in the chamber as 47 different species quietly acknowledged that humanity's greatest strength had never been their technology or their weapons. It was their incredible ability to turn strangers into friends, enemies, into allies, and wild creatures into beloved family members. In a galaxy often divided by fear and suspicion, humans offered something entirely different: the promise that friendship was always possible.